I want to begin this video by asking you a question. With all of the other gorgeous, polished, and undoubtedly fun games released today, why instead of playing these, do you and I sign up to be killed in ways that no game designer ever intended, or spend hours just trying to navigate crashes and DCs in an attempt to get to play with friends? For me, it is because in Star Citizen, I see the seed of greatness. I mean, as it is it the best game around? For me, no. But every patch, it is getting better and better. To play Star Citizen is quite appropriately to be part of a journey. We all have somewhere that we hope that this project is leading, but as is so often true with journeys, the getting there is half of the fun. I sincerely hope and expect that Star Citizen is a game that I will be playing for the next decade, and perhaps far beyond. From my perspective, no other release ship better epitomizes this promise of greatness than the Anvil Carrack. While still not fully functioning, I can see with my own two eyes in the Carrack the mechanisms to accomplish more gameplay mechanics than just about all of the other release ships combined. And that really excites me. As one who hates to get their hopes up, I had very conservative expectations for this ship, but CIG, in my opinion, nailed what this ship needed to be, even had I dreamed that it would indeed be the best ship in the verse. The ship that so many hoped that it would be. This is Soren, and in this video, I want to show you what I see when I walk through this beautiful lady. I don't intend to cover every feature of every room in detail, but instead focus on what parts of her design and functionality have me the most excited. I want to begin by taking a look at the size of this vessel relative to other large ships, to have some perspective on how much function this ship packs into its four walls compared to our other offerings in the verse. Here you can see that it is just about as long as a caterpillar, but 3 times as tall and twice as wide. It is about as wide and as tall as a Starfarer, and half again as long as a 600i. Compared to our only capital currently in the game, it is only about 1/3 of the side, which is impressive considering that outside of luxury gameplay, it possesses all of the functionality of the 890 and a fair bit more. For starters, there are 4 decks on the Carrack: the subdeck, habitation deck, technical deck, and cartography deck. Entering the ship from the ground, we will use the front ramp to access the vehicle bay, which is located on the subdeck, so I will start our walkthrough there. On the subdeck, we have the vehicle bay, 3 large modular pods, the armory, and the bottom turret. The first thing that you will notice upon entering this ship is that this area has a very wide door relative to most other ships with similar doors, and has a very spacious bay able to fit a large number and many types of vehicles. As I have played with the Carrack over the last week, using this bay just feels different than other ships. You can't just get stuff to fit in this space. Instead, it feels like it was actually made to properly store and deploy vehicles from this area, which really increases the immersion for me. This bay can easily hold a rover, a couple cyclones, and a dragonfly, with some people even getting up to 6 cyclones in this area. Something that I was pleased to see is that this area can also comfortably hold 2 Merlins and can squeeze a 3rd one if you don't mind a little bit of rubbing. I could say a lot more about this bay, but my main point is that this is a really usable vehicle bay that is a pleasure to use and will greatly enhance the utility of the Carrack with the functionality that it provides. Moving back from the vehicle hangar on the port side of the ship, we immediately have our docking collar, which I think of as my spacing room, as I am sure that we will have uninvited passengers from time to time in the verse that just need spacing. As we walk further back in the ship, we next come to 3 surprisingly large modular bays. Combined, these areas can hold 456 SCUs of cargo, which is not a heck of a lot less than our dedicated cargo hauler, the Caterpillar, with its 576 SCUs. Just for some perspective on the earning potential of this craft, here you can see, trading Laranite, the Carrack is able to purchase 1.2 million credits worth of Laranite and sell it for a nice 200k profit. Not bad if you ask me. One other benefit of the Carrack is that you can save yourself the return jog from the trade terminals at Area 18 or Lureville by killing yourself and respawning back on your bed. However, from an immersion perspective, I'm not sure that I'm a huge fan of this idea, but still a cool trick. But what really excited me about these areas is just how large they are. I honestly was not expecting for them to be this big. With this much space, I can easily see them making modules that will provide meaningful additional functions to existing ships. I could see them offering a more dedicated salvage module, which would synergize well with the existing drones that we have on board. We could perhaps equip a mobile storefront with exterior entrances to trade when visiting inhabited planets. There might be a more specialized science station that could allow us to focus on more specific types of research or discovery. Maybe we could even carry prefabbed exploration outposts, which could be dropped onto the surface of planets to act as a quick home base on the different planets that we explore. Really, the possibilities are limitless with 3 such areas. I hope that Carrack owners will have the flexibility to tailor this ship to how they want to spend their time in the verse. Moving further back, we come to an area that I honestly had no expectations for, but turned out to be one of my favorite parts of this ship, and that is the Armory. I love the fact that the location of this area just makes sense. When it comes time to debark from your ship, you would come down the central elevator, put on the appropriate suit, cold weather for cold weather, hot for hot, heavy armor for FPS combat, etc. Then you would grab whatever guns or equipment that you think you might need, and then you would head out to the vehicle bay and exit the ship. Nothing groundbreaking here design-wise, but again, it just feels like a ship that is made to be used properly. Not one that you can get to work like I feel like so many other ships have functioned up until now. Moving up, we come to the habitation deck. The habitation deck contains the lower bridge, crew dorm, captain's dorm, mess hall, med bay, and lower engineering. Although lower engineering is not connected and can only be accessed from the technical deck. The one comment that I want to make about the lower bridge is that the visibility is great out of the front, which is always a worry for these ships. But not to worry, in the Carrack, there is no bad place to pilot the ship from. Alright, now we get to the med bay, which I think is a very special place. The first detail I want to draw your attention to is the decontamination airlock as you enter. You will find these currently in clean rooms used in microelectronics manufacturing, or in research science labs, or in some specialized medical facilities. I love that they have one here. They lend so much credibility to the idea that this is supposed to be a place of healing, something special compared to the facilities that we have on the Red, or even the 890 for that matter. For some reason, the air nozzles do not seem to be working in the normal ship state, but you can see here that they work in some capacity when the ship is in a damaged state. The next thing you will notice when entering this area are the 2 recovery beds. These are not your standard beds, but actually look like nice medical grade stretchers that you would find in any world-class hospital. One thing that caught my eye is the wet sheen visible on the floor and most surfaces. This imparts the sense that this area was recently cleaned, and is very similar looking to what you would see in most operating rooms today if you went into one. Next, we will head into the doctor's office, which has a great workspace for your doc to sit and work while he or she observes the patient being treated in the main medical bay area. I appreciate that the O2 tanks are very well secured in bays along the wall, ensuring that no mid-flight accidents occur. Additionally, you will note the well-stocked shelves with all of your basic medical supplies. Oddly, it looks like there is also a shortage of masks and gowns in the PU. Who knew? Here we have a back surface for preparing biopsied tissue, which can then be examined under this fancy-looking microscope, complete with its very own iPhone viewing screen. Finally, I want to draw your attention to this feature, which I believe is a flash sterilizer for cleaning your surgical instruments, a very necessary function in any medical suite. From here, we will head to the storeroom, which is very similar in design to the doctor's office. Here we have an IV pole to be wheeled out to our patients recovering on the recovery beds. I also appreciate that the stored medical gases in this area are secured in a super heavy-duty holding case. You can also see in these temperature-controlled cabinets that it appears that we have stocked some blood product for transfusions, or perhaps they're just IV fluids. Regardless, a very nice detail. From here, we will enter the main treatment theater, which is enclosed in glass. Now this looks like an MRI bed to me, but I bet that this will also double as a surface when performing surgeries and other medical procedures. I like the addition of the X-ray film illuminator on the back wall to assist your doctor in determining the treatment plan for the patient. It is all of these small details in the Carrack Medical Bay that give me the impression that this ship is not so much hinting at things to come, but instead providing an interface and testing area that game mechanics can be plugged into and implemented. This is even more so true with the next few areas that I want to highlight. Our next area will take us to the technical deck. The technical deck begins with the upper bridge, followed by a drone bay and repair shop, the hangar bay, port and starboard turrets, flanked finally by upper engineering. For this floor, we will begin at the back of the ship in engineering. Like with the medical bay, I feel that CIG has succeeded in making this feel like a very dedicated area. Truly, we now have a space that it makes sense to have a dedicated engineer for a ship. This ship even has a nice space that I see being designated as an engineer's office, from which he can monitor all of the ship's key systems. The components in this area are mostly all physicalized and accessible. While not necessary or effective yet, I enjoy that you can already go through the motions of repairing these components. It makes me think that it might be pretty cool to be an engineer on a ship like the Carrack, or perhaps an Idris. I will be curious to see how they will introduce an element of skill in repairing and maintaining ship components, something that will differentiate a seasoned, skilled engineer from a fill-in or newbie engineer in the verse. Moving forward on the ship, we have the port and starboard turrets. These are man turrets, which I am not a super huge fan of, but as man turrets go, these are really just about as good as they get. I also appreciate that they are on the same floor with the upper bridge, which is where I think that most players are going to be experiencing their journey through the stars. With amazing fields of vision and the ability to hit anything above or below on its side of the ship, they are very effective and fun to use in my experience. Next, we have the feature that I was perhaps most looking forward to on the Carrack, the hangar bay. While the 890 does have a hangar bay, it is hugely inconvenient to get to from the main bridge. I was hoping that the Carracks would be easy to access and large enough that it could be used with a number of ships. Boy, was I not disappointed. Just a short jog from the upper bridge, the hangar is very accessible and convenient to get to. This hangar is sufficiently large. able to hold 2 Orgin 85Xs, and of course it can accommodate the Picses. The bay can even hold an Arrow as long as you do not lower its landing gear. I think that the ability to carry a serious fighter is a huge benefit, but I am not thrilled that it does not fit all that well. It can also hold an Aurora, which I was very pleased to see, and if it's the LN variant, you again will have a ship that can pack a pretty serious punch, but can also be used for ferrying passengers or a limited amount of cargo. Finally, I was surprised that I could easily land 3 Merlins in this bay, which added to the 3 in the front makes the Carrack a virtual Protoss carrier. Moving to the stern of the ship, on the starboard side, we have a room that really did not interest me when I first heard about it in the plans for the Carrack, and that is the drone room. Seeing the room now though, the possibilities I envision for this room are almost limitless. Coupled with the modular bays below, these drones could be used for salvage, repair, perhaps light mining, as we know the Orion will have mining drones, who knows? Perhaps they might even be militarized drones that we can carry around with us, further bolstering our defense and offensive capabilities. For some reason, it did not occur to me that these would act like independently manned craft that could be operated remotely from within the ship, again providing tons of gameplay for a fully crewed Carrack. Opposite the drone bay, we moved to perhaps the one room that more than any other inspired this video, and really that was what I found inside of it. At its surface, the repair room seems like a pretty standard workspace, equipped with tools and a surface on which to repair ship components and other items. But this box really sparked my imagination. If I'm not mistaken, this is a 3D printer from which we will be able to manufacture new parts for the ship and perhaps much, much more. I have long thought that 3D printers have such huge potential and wished that there was more being done to advance their technological advancement. I work around the medical field and cannot tell you the number of times that I wish I could just print that supply or piece of medical equipment that we needed and did not have on hand. My hope is that this room is going to open up countless opportunities for this vessel and allow us to be especially self-sufficient on long journeys out in space. Like a tinker, perhaps we will be able to make broken parts that far out settlements will need to fix their water pumps, or that part that will get their ship back up and running. The bow of the technical deck is occupied with what many are saying is the second best view in the verse, following only the 600i. I disagree here. While the 600i might have better visibility, I actually like the small, visible struts at the bottom and the imagery of the podium. It makes this ship feel like a true exploration vessel, and not just a fishbowl from which to view the world. It feels much more rugged and real to me than any experience I have had from the helm of the 600i, which I actually really do love. It feels so nice to me that this ship can be piloted without having to go through the long animation process to get in and out of the chair. Also on this deck, we have a support chair for crew, which I hope will control the scanners with which mineable rocks will be able to be picked up in the near future. The other chair is something that I actually fell in love with on the 600i, and that is the top remote turret. My only wish here is that all of the turrets could be controlled remotely from the bridge, but I suppose having them all on the same floor and being way better than average as far as turrets go will have to suffice. I think that it's going to be terribly convenient to be able to jump on this turret if you see a threat, and we should be able to handle most threats with the 2 size 4 guns equipped. Because this turret is remote, I think that this turret will be able to be manned by a computer blade in the future, which will make solo piloting this craft a much safer prospect. While on the subject of ship defense, I also find it a little odd that as a converted military vessel, the extreme lack of missiles on board. This ship is huge and has a ton of open surface area on the outside to which missiles could be attached, or even a missile delivery system could be installed internally. Considering how small the Freelancer Miss is compared to the Carrack, and how little its missile bays are, I think that the Carrack could hold at least as many Size 3 missiles as the Miss does. It would not surprise me if in the future we have the chance to add this type of military equipment to our dedicated exploration craft. Returning to my original point of this video, the promise of this ship feels leagues ahead of any ship in the verse to date. Here, we don't just have some vague promises of future functionality, but can see clearly how these game mechanics will work within the vessel, and I think will work well. I am so grateful that CIG took the time to do this one right, and am excited to see them applying this same level of thoroughness and intentionality in future vessels. This concludes my reflections on this exquisite ship. I hope that you enjoyed it and that it caught your imagination as it did mine. I want to thank you for taking your time to look at this ship with me, and I hope to see you next time. Soarin' out.